What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Metal Messiah channel. I'm going to get right to it today. So I'm going to try to do this as a real short video for you guys on breaking down the different types of tin snips and why in the architectural sheet metal business, which is what I do, you need to have reds and greens offsets. You can do it with non-offsets like these, but I don't recommend it. It's not what I like on my crew. And these are good for cutting wire and things you want to destroy them with. We don't use yellows. If you've ever tried to cut anything straight with the yellows, you'll know that right away we're stopped because it's hitting the jaw. So this is the problem with the yellows. It's the same problem with these these greens. We're hitting. So these are good for right-hand cuts. That's why they call them rights. You can make a right-hand cut with it. These you can make a left-hand cut with. That's why they call them lefts. That is all that these snips, that's how they'd be operated and used. I don't use them. They don't have a use for me. So what I do use is I use the offsets. Now here's why. So if you have a piece of trim like this and you try to cut it with, say you have just one set of snips, we have a problem. We're going to try to bend that up to do it. So if you have both, here's a great way to look at it. On your offset snips, you've got a table. The more material that rests on this table, the better your cut. Now say we don't rest on the table. We're not going to be able to cut. It won't cut. It'll fold and it'll go like this. We'll trap the metal in there. No good. So this is our table. You also have a bottom jaw and a top jaw. The bottom jaw is always pushing material up. The top jaw is always pushing the material down. So remember that. That's going to be really important. So say this piece of trim. This would be a difficult piece of trim to cut all the way up and around. You couldn't do it with just one pair of snips. But if you have reds and greens offsets, what you do is you remember that you push up with your bottom jaw and down with your top jaw. And here's how that could become useful. I'm going to cut down Now look, I use my greens. Let's do this so you guys can see it. And I'm going to use my reds. Kind of a small piece, so it doesn't really show that wasn't supposed to be like that, because you don't want it to distort. But if it was a full size, say we had a 6 inches here and 6 inches here, this piece would not have been out of the way. Now, what the point is here is, trying to keep it real short for you guys, is if you cut this strip out of any type of trim you can come across, no matter how many bends or difficulties there are in it, you will be able to cut that strip out with your reds and your greens by using both jaws that push up to push the material out of the way, or both jaws that push down to push the material down out of the way. Therefore, you're not destroying this shape. So that's just a really quick, simple lesson on that. Another quick lesson is this. What looks wrong with this piece of metal? You see all these little dents. You see a nice clean cut. Those dents are from closing your snips all the way on your cutting. You don't want to cut and close your snips every time you snip. because you get those little vents. If you want to cut it correctly, you just don't close them all the way, and you get a much cleaner, much nicer cut. Okay, next thing I'm going to show. Oh, okay. We've got a miter here. Some of you have probably tried to put miters together, and where you bend it at this point, it binds up and tweaks and does all kinds of funky things. You always use the snip with the bottom jaw that pushes the material up to push up on the miter side. So, for example, bottom jaw. We want our miter to go up. We would put these snips in there at the end to cut, and we would snip it, therefore giving you can see how this is higher than this. That is because we used our bottom jaw to push this material higher than this material, therefore allowing you to close it and get a nice beautiful miter without destroying or binding up this corner. So that is why on my crew we only use red and green offsets. There's definitely different types of snips to use and different ways to use them. That's what we use in my business particularly, and they work great. But that was a quick little lesson on how the different snips work and why you want to have both pairs of snips. If you're going to be an HVAC guy or an architectural sheet metal guy, do not show up to work with one pair of snips. You need to have your reds and your greens, your rights and your lefts. It's very important, and it will help you perform your job better and put out quality looking work versus putting out something that is not professional and does not look good. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon.